Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of From the Spot.
Yeah, you got the name right this time, Leonard.
I did. Thank you. I know I messed that up big time last week.
You did. Liz called it out in the office. Exactly.
That was not my best moment. I've had plenty of failures here at Boise State.
That's just not true.
Add another one to the list, but we're back another week from the Spot. This time it is finally for you guys. Game week. It's not months. It's not weeks. It is days away now from the home opener against Portland State. We've got Liz Ruiz. We've got Jim Thomas. We got Max Weber. So glad that all three of you guys could make it here. And to start, I mean, with it being game week, where are you guys at? What are you excited about for Friday?
To play against somebody else will be amazing. I think the kind of anticipation's in the air a little bit. You can see a different tone from the players, and the way they speak to one another is a little different, the urgency. And we came out of a secondary intra-squad game that was kind of an impromptu thing, really good and feeling really great about where we're at. The first one was good, a little too much rust to not want to go back to the well. So we go back to the well. I'm really, really happy with what we found, and we're really lucky to have so many people performing in a good way at this point that selecting 11 players to begin the game is probably the hardest thing for where we're at, and we'll make sure that we keep health and kind of their freshness the most important thing at this point, and the best versions of them should be on the field on Friday. So that's really kind of the focus of where we're at, and then fine-tuning a little bit. We know a little bit about Portland State. You know, they're a really good team coming off of a great year, but their system has been pretty static and one that's been established by the head coach there. So we're assuming something in a similar vein, even if it's slightly different. And that gives us a little more to feed off of in practice to be prepared for some of the things we may see. First games are not really great for that, but it's good for us to kind of train the players in what weeks leading up to the game would be like. And fingers crossed the smoke stays away. Fingers crossed we stay healthy, and just excited to get out there, hear the national anthem, and have Bronco Nation behind us.
Yeah, it should be a blast for you guys. And looking kind of ahead to the season, Max, you guys got 3 players named to the all-conference watch list. Of course, you guys were picked to finish third behind San Diego State and Utah State, tied with Colorado State. So when you look at the way that these players that are on the watch list, they're all seniors, the way that they've grown kind of over the 4 years that you've had them. What have you seen from them, and what are you excited to see from them this year?
Yeah, we should have a lot more players on the watch list, in my opinion, and probably the collective in this room. We have some tremendously talented players, and those 3 women will lead us in multiple different levels within the program, and both on and off the field. They're tremendous competitors, and they'll lead us in that. They're tremendously experienced. And they're tremendously talented. So, but they're also, as Jim mentioned, the well for us isn't going to be dry. It's my new band, Briscoe.
Oh, wow.
It's my favorite band, so I want to tie that in because their
song. 30 seconds to go to music for you.
So,
wow.
The well isn't dry. And so those 3 women, as many accolades as they're going to attain and are deserved of attaining, they have a lot of capable teammates that are going to really propel them and help them get to where we want to be. And going back to one more music analogy, Jack Johnson's great song, Questions.
Banana Pancake.
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions with the head coaches and their decisions to put us in that position. So it's a motivating factor for that locker room and our office as well. So.
Certainly, and when you look at how the league has gone and how it's been, and there's been a lot of improvement over the time you guys are there. For the people who don't know who's on the list, Carly Cross, Morgan Pador, and then Liz, for you, Genevieve Crenshaw made it. She's one of just 2 keepers on a list of 38 players across the conference. To see Genevieve's name on there, how big is that for you, and how excited does that make you to see that she's getting the recognition she deserves?
Yeah, really exciting, obviously, for multiple reasons, but she's a 5th-year senior, and I don't think if she would have been on that was not on that list, that would have been really disappointing, I think, for everyone. But again, it would have been, well, why is that the case? But she's proven to everyone in this league, and honestly, I feel like the nation, that she's a pro goalkeeper and is seeking that out, and she deserves every accolade that she gets. She's broken every record in the book, I feel like, at this point, and she's just going to keep tacking on to that. And I know, I had to bring it up
okay.
before someone else brings it up.
Let it all out. Share it with the people.
But I'm so happy for her.
Safe space.
I'm so happy for her. She works her tail off day in, day out, off season, in season, and she's a real true leader on this team. And she's gotten herself to this point, and I just hope she continues to get that path. And and we go out this year with something that we haven't been able to accomplish yet. So super stoked to see her on there.
Yeah, it's been a special career for her. She's had some special seasons for you guys. As you said, your records keep falling, and I know that's...
I got to stop coaching so well, I guess.
I know that's tough to take, but of course you love to see the improvement from your players. You love to see the growth. You guys got to see him in action. Last time we met, Jim, it was inter-squad night. You got a chance to go out and put iron against iron.
Yeah.
What did you guys see from that night that has you feeling ready for this week and the first regular season game?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we wanted to carry over was this attitude that we have, this kind of bravado. We walk around with our chest puffed, and we believe in ourselves, we believe in our staff, we believe in one another, and the talent level, the camaraderie, the chemistry, the history. A lot of these things take time to come together where they're meeting at the top. And you can have one but not the other, and that's the thing that kind of holds you back, or vice versa. And I think in the spring we really felt like we were coming into this purple patch of we're going to be old, funny, goofy, experienced, talented, deep, with a chip on our shoulder after how we exited the tournament last fall. This is it. This is the purple patch. So when you get into a game like that for the first time and seeing them, the expectations are unreasonably high. And I think for me personally, I came in with excessive expectations about how good everything was going to be. And what I found was how good we are collectively. The depth of the two teams going at one another, there was so much parity in a good way that it made the game a little bit like two stags locking horns, and the game didn't have the same flow to it or same control because both teams were really kind of getting after it. So it was a little difficult to really tell where are we actually with some of this stuff we've been trying to install with the two primary areas that we focused on and things that we really want to be pivotal for us at the start of the year. And that was why we did it again, because it was a little bit like, okay, well, where are we at? And have we started to organize the squad in the right way and offer opportunities correctly? And we mixed some things up, and we found exactly the same thing. Regardless of how we mix this team up, they're going to be really, really competitive with one another. We score goals in both of the games, which feels good. We get different contributors in each of those scenarios, which was excellent. But it doesn't matter how you split this group up. They're so good that the game's going to be a one-goal game, super tight with a lot of cancelling of one another going on. And it took us a couple of games to realise that this is a talent thing. This is a depth of ability. We've got so many players that are ready to contribute to the games like this coming Friday that we feel really confident about the overall squad. And I think the challenge is going to be, as we move through matches and weeks of preparation, is fine-tooth combing down to, as you would in basketball, you've got 15 players on your roster, but you might only play 9 or 10 of them, right? Because it's just, you start to detract away from the unity of the starting group or of the higher minute getters, that kind of thing. We're going to need to go through that process. I just think it's going to be a really fine-tooth comb. It's not going to be, the kid's a lot better than this one, this is easy. They're not. There's a lot of really tight positional races. We're not close to picking the starting lineup yet. Every day matters. I don't think we've been to this point in the camp in my 11 years this close at the end. I think the starting lineup's been a lot more obvious. So super exciting. Good to know that we've got this much to select from. Great job from the players. Ball clearly in the coach's court. Now it's okay, go and make a decision. We're all really good. And that's a challenge, but a good one, fun one.
It's the best thing as a player that you can do is make a hard decision for you
Totally,
three.
yeah.
To come in and make an impact, whether it's freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, however it may be. And so that begs the question for all of you guys, when you look at it, outside of football, you or softball are the biggest rosters on campus in terms of Olympic sports. So for all of you, how difficult is it when your talent level is so even, like it looks like it's going to be this year, and players are giving their all? Is it to make a decision on where are we going to get our minutes? How are we going to make our substitutions? What are the choices that go into that? And how do you set yourself up for success as a coaching staff?
I think two ways, and you guys can chime in on this, but for me, it's number one, it's not easy, for one. So making a choice is not necessarily your final choice. So before you even make a decision, allowing the players to feel comfortable in making mistakes, to continue to grow, because they know that's how they're going to get what they want. Not to feel like the job's done, but you got to keep getting better. We had a brief little conversation about that after training today, about how the season lays out, the different phases of the season, and what becomes a bigger focal point, and how you need to continue to grow. And that's a forerunner to kind of priming them to be ready for this over the long haul. What is a decision right now may well not be a decision in 2 weeks' time. And that's the second part of it, as well as priming them and educating them on how decisions are made and what they're looking to develop within. We have to stay fluid and not get locked in on players just because we made an early decision that was established then. That may well change down the line, and we have to be able to reward the players that are doing really well. I think we talk about that daily. Wouldn't
It's
you agree?
deliberation every day.
Yeah,
Office, to be
and
honest.
everyone's got a different take on it and a different reason for that take. And I think that makes us a really healthy staff and a healthy program, because the door's never closed, it's never locked in, but you have to stay fluid as a coaching staff because things can change so rapidly. Maximus, do you agree? Liz?
I think it kind of, we talked about the competition part, but it really makes the players stay on their toes. Like, if they're not going to take part and do their part, then someone's going to be right behind them that's going to take it. And for them to be on the edge like that is probably the best, I guess, thing that can get them ready for games. But down the road when we're in a championship and running for the last minute of that. So I think for me, it's just like, I totally agree with what Jim said, but it's definitely keeping, players on their toes. You have to be on your A game every day. And if you're not, then someone's going to step up to the plate and take that. But I think it's the biggest challenge for us is like, who are we actually going to pick this week?
We're going to play 13.
Who are we going to travel with? That's going to
yeah.
be, I think, the toughest part when we get to that part this year. And it's a deliberation all the time for that too. But I think it's not easy for us, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, we believe in a lot of pillars in our program, and recruiting is the lifeblood of sports at the collegiate level and at the professional level in a lot of regards. Development goes along with that, and you recruit to an identity, you build an identity, and then you have to, vice versa, build that through both pillars. And so recruiting and a playing identity we have, and because of that, we've created this roster this year that, in my opinion, is probably the deepest roster we've ever had since I've been with Jim for 6 years. And there's a lot of pride that goes within that, but then it comes back down to the decision-making process of who's ready, who needs more time. But we believe in playing players. We're statistically in the top 10% of Division I soccer every single year in who we play and how many we play. We are not a play 13 players on an average. That's not how we do it. And that's really grown over the last couple of years, but when we've gotten deeper. So when we travel, Jim plays 21 players on average on the road. The second goalkeeper may be the one that doesn't get in. And we're proud about that. And that goes back in the developmental model that we have. Players come here to play, come here to win. And within all that, they're going to have a tremendous experience. So super jacked to let them play against someone else. But we've only been here for 14 days, and some of those days haven't had soccer involved in it. There's a lot of culture things that we hang our hat on in this program, and getting this young group immersed and taking the freshman class of the 23s, who could be one of the best recruiting classes ever in the history of the program, to get them to grow. We've got a lot of sophomore goal scoring already in camp and in the inter squads that we've had. So it's just exciting. It's really exciting to merge all these talents and all these personalities together, and now we get to actually all wear the same jersey. So really jacked for Friday night, and then going to be jacked again for the next week and the next week and the next week, as players earn roles, star in their roles, and then roles are going to change. So that's why we're always, Jim used the term fluid. We are fluid in how we will continue to build and develop. We are not the 11 that start the first game are going to start the last game. This is not how we roll here. It would be talking out of both sides of our mouth in the recruiting process, and we just don't do that. Players earn things here, and they have to be pushed, like Liz said, and we don't allow apathy to creep into our brand.
You talked about the development, and one of the hardest things to do is develop and win at the same time. Those things usually don't go together necessarily, but you guys manage to do it, and part of that goes back to that culture that you were talking about that you create, where in the recruiting process you're telling kids that they're going to come play, they're going to come contribute. And for people that haven't seen maybe the video about your guys' rafting trip and your McCall retreat, those are the type of culture building exercises that you get after? Max, I know you hit the music thing already. There's a video of you doing karaoke out there.
Voice like an angel. There was choirs singing.
Yep. NIL.
Clouds parted,
Coaching
sun rays
NIL.
coming through.
Yep. Coaching NIL.
Stop. I knew that was coming.
Joe Nickel Collective.
Getting a karaoke deal. We need to bring the voice box back downtown.
Get a hold of me, Joe.
But that retreat, how impactful is that in creating or expanding upon the Boise State soccer culture for all of you guys?
I think everything that we do off the field is as important as what we do on it, and if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Some of them become mainstays and you do them every year and the players are looking forward to it. Some of the things they're like, oh no, we're going to do that again, but they really want to do it. Like the other thing you didn't mention, we just did our scavenger hunt, and it puts them with people maybe that they're not that close to, random people with a random poem that we kind of collectively put together that gives them clues to get around Boise and get to know their city a little bit more, some of the establishments and locations a little bit more, and maybe remember some of the things that we've done in the past as well, and make a full picture of what it's like to be a Boise State athlete whilst trying to win a race, compete, do it in the least amount of miles, that kind of thing. And then we come back together for a pool party at the end and have a merry old time. And while it sounds trite or trivial, it becomes huge in its application when you're constantly telling players that this is a concept and we want you to apply it. This is a problem we've got to solve. Go solve it within these parameters. The more broadly that you can apply that to people, the broader their scope is of seeing things. And we saw it today in training. We were a little rigid in training today, and it took us a little bit of time to really recognize that there's a simple problem we're trying to solve, and there's an obvious solution, but the obvious solution's starting to get taken away by the opponent. How do we now start to adapt and find new solutions? So you can talk about it, or you can do it like we did in training, but you can also put them into scavenger hunts, or we like to do breakout rooms and put them in random problem-solving situations and just see how they get onto it. And it becomes more and more. We had the first intra-squad, it was really flat. The energy was low. And we found out that the speaker that we had, that they blast music out. I mean, you can't think in there, the walls shake, they have this stuff so loud, right? Prior to the game, I can hear everyone talking. This is weirding me out. And they were talking about good stuff. They were in a good spot, but I'm not used to hearing it, and they're not used to being in that environment. It's usually like a dance party. So they go outside, and it's just a little under, feels more like a practice than it does a game. And they changed that. It turns out the charging cord was a little dodgy.
I'll take the blame. It's my
Liz
fault.
really ruined everything.
Team player.
One day. I got in one day, though.
she got it next day delivery. And then we did the second intra-squad. They were clearly more fatigued, but they had that pre-game amp, and the vibe was different. They walked out there with a different vibe. They were smiling, laughing, joking more, right? So it can take problems like that. You got to highlight what the problem was, solve the problem. It had nothing to do with where they were at or soccer in general. The vibe was off, and it was because the music wasn't right? And we've actually had that on game day where they put the speaker a little too far away from where we warm up, and it's a little flat out there. I'm like, why? And it's like you're warming up in a library. So all the way down to those kind of details, you want to make sure that you've got players in a mind of what's the issue, how do we solve it? What are the parameters in which we need to solve it? Okay, those are non-negotiables. We can't do anything outside of that, but anything inside of that, totally good, go for it. And then their expressive problem-solving mold, they'll come up with way better answers than we will as a 3 or 4 with Grace. It's amazing to watch them come up with the solutions they do, but you got to coach that. So we do it in training, but we do it off the field, and a lot of that stuff is going on in retreats, on the river. The river rafting's got zero pretense to it other than being in the same boat with people. But we know what happens. You get people that can't swim, people that don't want to get pulled into the river, people that don't want to ride the ball, which is being right on the end of it as you go through a rapid, and they get put in these uncomfortable situations. Well, how do you navigate that interpersonal skill? Where you might have my son, and he's a little poop bag. That one,
he was awesome. We talked about his dating life.
Oh, you got into that. See, he's getting close to
It was
teenagers
awesome.
now, so that's a little different. Usually he's like skulking around, stealing stuff out of boats and pushing you in. But, there's all these different things that you got to manage, and they're the same kind of problems that you'll see on the park. So we do them off the park as well. And I think that's what those things do. And we continue to do it throughout the season. We'll have a blast while we're on the road, doing stuff that enables them the opportunity to exercise some of these ideas of working as a unit and overcoming things as a unit. So they're all brilliant, regardless. And I think, we stand here in a really, really good spot now in that area as a result of some of the things that we've gone through in preseason. As a result, the group is very tight, very ready, very coachable. And we're working on concepts that you would be into in week 2 or week 3 in preparation for the first game. So I feel really good about it. It's been great.
Well, that's obviously awesome. And like you said, the culture and everything, it all matters to what you do on the park. And now or on the pitch, in the park.
Either one, mate. Depends whether you're from the north of the country, they would go with more park. If you go down to the south of England, it'd be more the pitch. But
I'm from neither, unfortunately.
Well,
so I don't even know if I'm allowed to say.
What team do you like, though?
I'm a Manchester City fan.
See, that's up north. You got to go with Park. You're
Get
on
out
the
of the room.
Are you a United fan, Max?
No, I actually have morals, and I like a brand
my
of
God.
football. So I actually cheer for a club in Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
A relative recent champion.
Um,
Anything to do with Manchester.
okay. Well,
Disappointed in you, to say the least.
He actually likes German teams better than English.
You do like German teams?
He does.
Me?
Yeah.
well, I'm Portuguese, so I like I like Liga NOS the most.
Ah,
So
now
I'm
we're getting
a
into it.
Ronaldo guy.
So we gave you a couple of weeks to ease into these podcasts, but now the interview starts going the other way. So we're coming after you today.
Yeah. So that's why I got. As much as I love you guys, I'm also Manny Martins is right there.
Yeah,
being
okay.
in Portuguese.
You know where he is, mate. You can go down the road if you want to.
I like I said, I'm Boise State through and through, but the Portuguese connection is there. I'm going to ask you guys probably a really tough question here, and we're going to start with you, Liz, and we're going to go down the
That's
line.
where, whenever you have a tough
We
question,
would start with me.
always start with Liz.
And then this question is, it shouldn't be that hard. I don't think it'll be that hard, but who has impressed you most in preseason and why? And from your face, maybe it is a difficult question.
And you can't answer Max.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say Grace then. No, I'm just kidding. That's a really tough question. I think going into every preseason, I'm so curious about how the freshmen will react upon what this is because it's so new. It's so different than club. And they just don't know anything, which probably is best for them because they can actually let their true colors come out. But I'm going to say Jill Anderson, Texas kid, and, attacking midfielder. And what she can do with that ball is absolutely insane. You have to watch out for that kid this year. And I think looking at her future is going to be really impressive, and she might break records. But the way that she can strike a ball is even more impressive. I think we've all seen Kenzie strike a ball, and she can strike the hell out of a ball. But Jill is pushing for that one. So I think she's just been, let her hair down and go. And nothing's been holding her back, and she's been really, really impressive, I think, for me, with what she can do on the starting team. But if she's on the twos, then, she just runs the show there, too. So, but, yeah, I would say Jill Anderson. That's why. Thank you. That was a difficult decision. Moving on.
She never makes those decisions. She
That's
does.
a decision.
I mean, she actually
What are you
made
talking
a
about?
decision.
Decisive
Oh
there.
no,
This is what married Liz does.
she talks around things.
It's all
Changed
new.
woman here.
Yeah,
New woman.
yeah. I want the woman in that green suit. That's who we
should
just got an
coach in
answer
it.
from.
She should coach in the suit.
No one's going to know what you're talking about.
Liz had a suit on at her wedding this summer that made her look like, I don't know. All I could think of was like the mafia.
Oh, God.
Like this mafia boss.
Boss. Yeah, she was a boss.
Man,
I feel like those pictures are out there
Oh.
somewhere.
Probably. Some
it
people
was
probably can't see it,
it was
I feel like I've seen
evergreen. Man, it was special.
Yeah, it's intimidating. I was
Yeah.
This is like the biggest compliments you guys have ever given me.
Wow.
in public. I mean, we say nice things, but no one can hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know
Max,
about
you
that,
go?
but
Who you
anyway.
got?
I know it actually goes right to left.
It doesn't. It goes up to me because I'm the boss and I choose.
There's going to be some. There's going to be some Broncos that nobody has seen before this year that have impressed me because, you know, more and more so. This is for a different podcast, but players.
You think you're coming back?
Yeah, players are. When I come and do the recruiting podcast, we'll talk about this. But
Okay.
people
We'll put it on the list.
People are so, you know, what do I deserve in this mentality nowadays? What am I gonna get? You know, and so many families and players come in to Division I athletics and think in a championship-driven program like ours, and if they don't get what they want at another program, they're going to be unhappy. We just don't have that here. We have a developmental process that works, and regardless of injury or if the road is open to them via not too many older players ahead of them, there's just a process to how we go about getting these young women empowered to play and ready to perform. And we've got a couple youngsters that the Bronco Nation hasn't seen before that I think have had tremendous camps, and Lexi Chatterton and Sophia Avalos that were in the 23 class and both redshirted this last year for us. Those two have been tremendous for me thus far in cementing themselves into, hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me. I think they've done an outstanding job.
Nice job, buddy. I thought you were going to go.
You didn't make a decision, though.
Yeah,
I did. I said 2 players.
Way to make that
It's
up.
okay. I said who, but
it's been a
two is
great.
good.
It's been a great camp, and I think that's why there's so many honourable mentions. To be honest with you, Tanbury Bell's come in and basically kicked everyone's butt every single day without looking back, and you can't not acknowledge that. There have been young players that are really progressing along, and there's also been old players. Morgan Pador seemingly is endless in her ability of growth and application. Carly Cross has come back, the best version of her we've ever seen. So it's so easy to pick some of these guys. There's been so many people that have had great camps. They really have. Avery McBride, hands down, wins it for me. No one's been through the adversity. No one's had to carry the same monkey on her back that kid's had to, and the injuries that she's endured, the pressure she's put on herself, the pressure she came in with to try and be this player that she wanted to be and believed that she could be. Few have been tripped up as many times as that girl has and come back with the resilience, and every single time she's come back a better version of herself, which needs to be noted too. But this version we're seeing now, this competitor, leader, vocal leader, physical leader, that is playing at a clip that you would expect someone that's been 3 years in the making of playing regular seasons. She's at that level now, and she's got half a season under her belt in those same 3 years. I've just been blown away by her ability to come in that ready and establish herself as one of the starting central forwards. It's heartwarming because you love the kid. The kid's a joy to be around. But it's difficult to see them go through difficult times, and you pull so hard for them to come out of them. They don't always make it, Leonard. They don't. And it's sad, but it's true. This kid has, and has become an absolute monster out there. I can't wait for everybody to see prime Avery McBride. She's going to make that family name very proud. She makes us very proud, but her camp has been off the charts good.
It's awesome that you guys all have different opinions as well on who's impressed you. It shows, like we talked about earlier, the depth of this squad. And for you guys, we've mentioned somebody's name here a couple of times who's not in the room with us, but you talked about Grace. Grace Hancock joined your staff this year.
She's had an average camp. It's not been, her first touch has been a little bit wobbly.
She could get that via the other day.
Yeah, she had a hell of a summer, though. She had to put on the gloves. Coach Ruiz had a knee issue. I think we were saving her for the wedding and the dancing. So
that.
Coach Hancock had to jump into an elite ID camp with our 25 commits and some top 26s from throughout the country. And, man, she put on a performance.
Ooh, show for the ages.
Yeah. We almost, if she had any eligibility left, we just offered her right there.
Yeah.
On the
It
spot.
was over.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for Grace, clearly elite goalkeeper, but she's also in her first season as full-time. She was a graduate assistant for you before. How has she impacted you guys in her role as a new coach?
More and more every day. She's like part of the furniture, to be honest with you. Doesn't feel like it's her first anything. She has been around a little bit, but I think we've been growing that role. Max and Liz have been pivotal in that as much as anybody else, and any piece of responsibility you give her, she just does it better than it was done before. So you want to keep plowing her with more and more things, and I think she resonates with the players really well. She has a great connection with those guys, and she's a great example of what a young assistant coach should do, in my eyes, as a former assistant and now head coach. You're going to be given opportunities to do something. run with it and make it more. Don't just do what you were given. Take what it is and make it something that it wasn't. Make it better. And she does a really, really nice job of that. Anything you're taking, whether it's the smallest thing or it's a big thing, she always tries to make it a little bit more than what it was, and sometimes makes it a lot more than what it was, where it might be something that's dying on the vine. And we're going to maybe stop using that now. She reinvigorates it and brings it right back into the forefront of what we're doing and makes us better that way. And probably more than anything else, I mean, she's about as tolerant of Max as anybody in the room. So, you know, I feel
And
like
she spends a lot more time with him.
and she's on that side of the office as well. You know, they're in close proximity a lot, and she can handle him. So I guess we have to.
Yeah, she didn't have a sense of humor when she joined the staff, and now we've grown
You're
that.
taking credit for this now?
You know, she was homeschooled, and she was a ferocious player. She has, in a very non-blue collar-esque city that we tend to grow up in and live in, and that's why we like it. Grace didn't play the game that way. She was a terror. And she has this blue-collar toughness to her that is tremendous for our staff. She is a no-nonsense, as much as she cares and she loves, and the connection that she has to young people and how she's empowered them, you know, through her care and her intelligence. When it comes down to the game is the game. And if you watch her as a kickoff, Liz has gotten older. I was never good enough. Jim's now almost 40, whatever.
Almost 40, yes.
Yeah.
definitely
Grace still
mid.
has a hard time. Grace still has a hard time on game days because, like, if you watch her, she would literally play if Jim said, "Go put your boots on." she would abandon coaching and doing it, and so she's still in that. I can go do this. She thinks she can, but she's just a tremendous asset in every way for these women in this program and for us three as well. I feel like she's been here for 5 years. It doesn't feel like she's just doing it. The only thing that's weird now is she doesn't have to ask permission to Jim, Liz, and I in the middle of every training session is, you know, am I allowed to do that? Because there's so many rules around the GAs, right? They can throw a ball here, but they can't speak. There's so many ridiculous rules for basketball, soccer, and volleyball, and football. But anyway, it's just nice to have her just go coach, which is actually what she's really good at. Yeah. So it's been awesome.
I feel like I need an alter ego. Like, she's the mafia boss. We've got the terror in Grace, and you're like a musical roadie.
/ Teletubby. And
There's a picture of that, too.
There's a lot of things we could go with that.
feel
I
like
don't have an alter ego. I need a...
well, I mean, you watch a lot of what are those you and Kingsley watch a lot of Superman.
Yeah, we love the Marvel.
Yeah, I
Marvel.
think you got
MCU, baby.
I think you got to lean something in the
there.
Marvel.
Did you just
area.
call me a superhero?
Okay,
I'm just
well,
saying, go in that.
Can I have my
direction.
time to talk about Grace?
Oh, God. Here we go. How much
Yeah,
time
this
do we
tends
have?
to happen
All
in the
about
office
Liz
too.
again.
Just
There
kidding.
you go.
There we go.
Just kidding.
You're
Do you have a Marvel
No, we
name
don't
yet?
have it. No, we don't.
Summer of
Just-
Liz.
We'll figure something out. Summer of Liz.
Anyway, I was just going to say that I'm really appreciative of Grace being in the room now because now it's 2 and 2
2v2.
and not 2 versus 1. So I'm just saying.
Time out. You're way like of all the things that you would gender stereotype men and women, you kick Jim and I's butt at like all of this stuff. So if you're saying it's
thank you.
it's that, then it's not that at all.
I'm just saying it's really nice to have another female in the office.
So sarcasm
It's
level's
not-
gone through the roof.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, Grace has been amazing.
Summer of Liz.
I think her ability to put up with us, first off, but kind of have a level-headedness to her to help within decision-making and stuff like that is really helpful. And her perspective, like Max said, like she's been a top player in this community when she played, and she played overseas. So she's been around the game for a long time at different levels, and I think that is truly going to help, you know, and she was a center back, so that's going to help our back line, the center backs that we have. We have young ones, so they have someone to look up to and honor what she has to say, you know what I mean? And so I think that has a telling part to it, but she's an up-and-coming coach, and I know she really enjoys it, and her voice is getting heard more and more because she's putting it out there. But it's cool to see a young female get into the game in a coaching realm of things because it doesn't happen often, and when it does, it's amazing. So I'm glad she's on staff because she's another female.
I think there's a lot more reasons to that.
Just
but
kidding.
Yeah.
yeah, when you look at what, you know, the three of you, how close you are, the tight knit to sort of talk about saying that it feels like she's been here for 5 years. Clearly she's made an impact and she's made a connection with all three of you. And I know you're busy, taking a lot of time getting ready, so I'm going to make this the last question. And Max, we're going to start with you. We'll go the other way down the line this time. For Friday against Portland State, from your coaching perspective, what's the one thing that you are looking to see against the Vikings that's going to say, we're ready to do this, we're Mountain West championship caliber contenders this year?
Our identity. Just to press upon the opponent that we are who we are, and to walk away from an early game in the season and feel proud about exhibiting the things that we hold true in our program. And the women will know what I'm speaking about. So on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, that's it for me. And we're gonna grow massively from Friday. So that's it for me.
I think for me, it's to see whether with the changes of personnel and personalities, whether we are beginning from where we left off or whether the journey starts at a different beginning. And specifically towards the juice, the energy, and the attitude. Talent's not an issue. We have great coaching staff. If there's something that needs to be taught, we can teach it. If we're a little rusty and a little funky in the first game, it's not a big deal. We'll fix it. Long way to go. A lot of learning. Not concerned about any of that. But if we spin our wheels at the start, not doing things the right way with the right joy, happiness, and energy to it, then that needs to be fixed before we can do anything else, and that road can be long. So to me, I just want to enjoy it. I want to see them smile. We talked about it before the second intra-squad. Just to make sure that all the stresses and pressures they put on themselves aren't overriding the fact that when we do this, we dance before the game. We sing before the game. There are cameras that we pose for in front of the game. We laugh, we play around, we're goofy, and then we go and kick your butt. That's the way we do it. And if we're not doing it our way, we're hiding who we have. Those are the people that we brought in. They're all the same kind of people. Want to have a laugh, want to enjoy it, want to smile, got great personalities. If we're not letting them express themselves that way, they're not going to be able to express themselves in the soccer stuff that we require of them, right? So I just want to know that we're doing it the right way. How well it goes, obviously, want to win 20 games. Want to kick everyone's tail and score 1 million goals. But how we go about this first game will tell me a lot about what we need to do in the upcoming weeks. And if it's got the joy and the happiness and the energy to it that we had at the conclusion of last year, then there are championships in our future. I have no doubt about it.
Bring in the juice, bring in the energy, and I would say the collectiveness of as a group. Now we get to see our team play together. How do they interact? How do the people on the sideline interact with the players on the field? Are they coaching from the sidelines? All of that stuff I think is going to be a crucial part. But I'm really, really excited to see Boaz popping again with the fans. And it's a night game again. And with these lights, it's just it's a different atmosphere. As an alum that hasn't played within that realm of things here, it brings a totally different energy to it in itself. So if like Jim said, if we don't have the juice part, then we're definitely not ourselves. So I'm really, really excited to see that part.
Should be so much fun. And under the lights, first game of the year, first home match. Boaz should be rocking. Should be a lot of people there. I mean, it should be easy to get amped. So we appreciate having the three of you on for this episode of From the Spot, and we're looking forward to on Friday, hopefully seeing you guys collect the 3 points.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Leonard.